channel, guys, with me, Paul Candle. As you can tell today, we're not in the usual studio that we normally broadcast from. We're down in Enfield in London at the main studio where MK Cypher Films is located. For the time that we've been down here, it's got to be over a year to 18 months. We've had a famous house just around the corner, about a 10-minute walk, which is extremely famous to all those horror buffs and horror fans out there that are watching this channel. Now, it's not famous for the reasons that you would normally make a house famous for. It's not famous for anyone who's been singing there, or it's not a famous actor. It's famous for all the reasons that you wouldn't necessarily think of. And these reasons are to do with the 1977 haunting of a house in Enfield called the Enfield poltergeist. That was a main feature, or the main idea and brainchild behind a few Hollywood blockbuster movies that you would all know back at home, such as likes of The Conjuring and so on and so forth. So come and join me and MK on a mini documentary series involving the house over in Enfield.
There's a house in a terraced street in Ponders End, North London, where the events of the past 2 months have baffled all who've heard about them and scared the life out of those who've been directly involved. This is the home of Mrs. Peggy Hodgson and her family. At the moment, the children are being looked after by relatives because Mrs. Hodgson is ill in bed. The sequence of bizarre happenings which unfolded round these children and their mother in September have made the walls of the house rattle with the impact of flying objects and the sound of mysterious knockings.
So as you can see, folks, London isn't the same place as it was 50 years ago. As you can see from the layout just here in Enfield, the roadworks are taking place, the structures are constantly changing, and it's no different to where we're going today. The road layout would have changed from the 1970s, but one thing that hasn't changed are the stories of the people that were actually there. Now, obviously, most of the people that were there at the time have now passed away, sadly passed away, but the people, the two girls, I think it was Janet and Margaret, that the incident actually happened to, are still with us, are still here today. And ironically, they actually came back to the property back in 2016 just to see if anything had changed or if they could feel anything. And I think it was Margaret, the one that actually went back in 2016, actually couldn't enter the house due to obviously the events that happened previously.
How many really are there, Margaret?
I think so far we've had 10 sensible voices, but the rest of the names are absolute rubbish.
So here we are, folks. We are on Green Street, located in Enfield, and just to the right of me, I don't want to cause too much attention to that house because that's not the house in question, but to the right of me in that porch was the sign of the cross and cloths with the sign of the cross on, which I thought was quite strange, being on the same row as the house that we are going to visit.
And then all of a sudden a pool of water come from nowhere in the middle of the floor in the kitchen. And then we heard the toilet chain pull, and there was no one at all out in the toilet. We was all in the kitchen, and the door opened in the toilet, then the chain went, and as we walked out there, the toilet brush came from the thing what it was in, the container, and the brush just come up and settled on top of the toilet. Just like that, as if someone had just got in there, pulled the chain and then took the brush up and to wash the toilet. And the doors Well, and then the bathroom door opens, and the kitchen table has just tipped up. And there's Janet, one of the girls, she's been just sitting on the chair and she's been thrown completely across the room.
So welcome folks to Green Street, located in Enfield. And they're located on the right hand side of me is the house in question, the house that housed the poltergeist of Enfield. Now, unlike the 70s, this area has become multicultural, very diverse, and a bit of the road layout would have changed, but the zebra crossing is still there, and obviously the house is still the same as it was before. But as you can soon see, as we do cross the road safely, the house that is located to the right of me is the house in question, very unassuming unless you actually knew the history behind the house itself. And if you were to believe the story that was filmed at that house on the right hand side of me, it was an entity or a poltergeist, or do I dare say the devil himself, that had possessed two girls called Janet and Margaret. And Janet and Margaret were the centre of attention of all this activity that was going on inside of that house. And much like the Elm Guest House, that was also located in the south of London, today we're in the northeast of London, it housed some real horror stories regarding obviously children and families. And much like the house here in Enfield, it holds the same sort of thing but on a different end of the spectrum. Now, when you're talking about physical people doing some physical harm, some real degrading things, it's not only to humans but to children in themselves, it puts a whole different perspective on the situation that's happening. And much like the house that was located down there, it was centred around two children that were possessed by the devil himself. Check this out.
11-year-old Janet Hodgson appears to be the focus of many of the strange happenings in Green Street. But they also affect her 14-year-old sister, Margaret, and their younger brother, Billy. One of the first manifestations was when Lego bricks began to fly at high speed around the living room.
How does it feel to be haunted by a poltergeist?
It's not haunted. Shut up.
Why isn't it haunted?
I don't know.
Does it frighten you, the things that happen here?
Oh, well, it did first, but now I've got more used to it.
The one thing I did find really strange about this house was I've been following the story about this house for about the last 5 or 6 years. And when I first located the house on Google Maps, there was a sign in the window saying, "God lives here. This is God's house." And if you put this address in Google Maps, it will show you, as you can quite clearly see, a blurred out version of this house. Whereas if you was to look at Google Maps this side, you'll see a perfect shot of not only the house itself, but the whole street. Yet if you look at it from that side, looking back up to this side of the street, you will see that that side of the house has been censored. It's been blurred for one reason, and one reason only. Google do not want you to see that sign. Now, whether you're in Hollywood or whether you're in normal world, or if you're in politics, they're trying to censor Jesus. They're trying to censor anything to do with God and Christianity. Christianity has never been under attack so much as it is today. And Google are no different. And they don't want you to see the history behind the house, because it was a true documented event, and it was documented by many people, not only public that were located at that zebra crossing there. There was people like there was law enforcement, there was a lollipop man, there was members of the public that were waiting to cross the road and take the children to school. All witnessed the same event, and that event that started the ball rolling was seeing Margaret or Janet, I don't know which one it was exactly, but one of the two children floating horizontally past the window in full view of everyone. And it wasn't just a few people that saw this, it was about 17 people.
Reported seeing an armchair levitate across the Hodgsons' living room.
It came off the floor, or maybe a ½ inch, I should say, and I saw it slide off to the right, about 3.5 to 4 feet before it came to rest. I checked to see whether or not it could possibly have slid along the floor. I placed a marble on the floor to see whether or not the marble would go in the same direction as the chair did, and it didn't roll at all. I checked for wires under the cushion of the chair, and I could find no explanation at all.
electronics engineer and an investigator for the Society for Psychical Research.
Over here was Janet, and over here, in this bed here, was Margaret.
It was in the same bedroom a month later, with all the family present, that Maurice Grosse first challenged the poltergeist to talk.
And this was actually the result. You'll hear here the whistling first of all, and then the barking. And here is this noise. The barking here is quite extraordinary, actually.
We got a doggy here.
I then said to it, you can whistle. I then, as I said on the tape here, I then said to it, if you can whistle and bark and groan, then you can talk. And I asked it to actually say my name.
Oh, Johnny.
Well, just a minute. Right, we'll try again. I want you to call out my name, my complete name, Maurice Grosse. See if you can do that. Very good. Let me hear you say my name again. Come on, let me hear you say my name. Come on, my name's Maurice. Let me hear you say it. Maurice.
Something going on beyond the grasp of the human mind. If this is a hoax, it means that some of the 17 people who've seen things have been playing an elaborate and twisted joke on the others. If it isn't a hoax, it means that either those 17 people have all been having hallucinations, including the police, or this is the best documented ghost story of all time.
Can you tell me why you are upsetting this family? Is it because you enjoy doing it? You do enjoy doing it. Well, I suggest that now you've got... Now, what does that mean? Why have you done 3 knocks? Now, I ask you the question again. 2 knocks for yes, and 1 knock for no. Now, yes, that's right, you understand. Now, do you enjoy upsetting this family? You do? Well, now, will you please go away? Because I think you've had enough of your jokes. You won't go away. But I would like you to go away, and go away because I think you've been upsetting this family long enough, and it's time you went away. You understand me? Please go away. Yes, you must go away. It's absolutely essential that you go away. No, you mustn't be obstinate. You must go away. Well, you must. I'm sorry, but you must stop annoying this family.
So you have it, folks. Another unassuming house in a very unassuming road. And much like the Elm Guest House houses some very big horror stories. But as mentioned, on a different end of the spectrum. And much like the Elm Guest House, the house located in Enfield is true events, truly documented, and documented by a diverse amount of people. Now it's up to you what you believe. Did it happen? Was it a fake? And what you've got to remember is only 1 or 2 conclusions you can come to. If it was real, then it's the most real, documented ghost event that's ever to be documented. Or it's a second choice, which is that it was fake. It was all put together, it was an all elaborate hoax. And if that was the case, then back in the late 70s, you didn't have the effects to hand as you have today. And you wouldn't be able to rig a house to pull off such an elaborate hoax as you would have today. So it leads me to conclude that this story is actually real.